What is social conditioning and how is it affecting you in your self care? Let's talk about it and find out. Hello, I am Crystal from the Crystal Center of Healing. I am here to talk about everything self care and help you set up a self care practice. I do a topic, I do affirmation mantra card, and I lead you finally in a guided meditation. Please like and subscribe, and if you wish to donate to my channel, I have a PayPal account under the Crystal Center of Healing. So, what is social conditioning and how is it affecting you? First, we should define what social conditioning is. So, social conditioning is a psychological process of training individuals in society to respond in a manner generally approved by society as a whole, and within your in groups or peer groups. So, social conditioning is pretty much throughout everything that you do in life, especially if you're not critically thinking about how you are in life and how you walk through life. You may just, and this happens a lot, you grew up a certain way, your parents believed certain things, and you just kind of went along with it. Like, the biggest one I can really think about is, religion. If you had a specific practice in your household growing up, my grandfather was Lutheran, and my grandmother was Methodist. But, and that was on my mom's side. I don't know what my dad's side did as far as practices went, but because I was raised by my grandparents, and they were World War II generation, and it was all led by the male, so the family became Lutheran. And I know that's something my grandmother used to talk about, how it was always the man's choice of all that stuff, and it didn't matter where she wanted to live or what religion she wanted to practice. It was all about the male. So one, that's a social conditioning there, because a patriarchy. We're supposed to follow men. So we all became Lutheran, and I grew up in the Lutheran church. And when I became a teenager and I made a decision, I think I was around 17, and I was going through my punk phase and I'm still wearing all black because I kind of like it. People were not very nice to me, and I started questioning the religion itself, and I didn't believe that people that were going to the church were actually following the Bible, which is a whole other thing in itself. Like, are we going to follow some book by people we didn't know that wrote it, and we don't know how true it is? I know that's all about faith and trust and all that, so we're not going to get into that, but but if you look at it, it's like I followed what my family did, and I was Lutheran until I decided I wasn't. Another thing is where you get your morals and values from. Usually your family, if you have any kind of structure in your family. Now, there's, some people didn't grow up with great childhoods and didn't have somebody to lead them by example, so that might not resonate with you. But society puts expectations on us. What are the norms? Like, you have a 9-to-5 job, you dress a certain way for your age, like what's age appropriate. Like, I hear that all the time. It's like, why are you wearing that? You're too old to wear that. I'm like, where is it written, like, I can't wear a certain thing. And I know that's changed over time because, if you look at celebrities, they're wearing all kinds of revealing stuff in their 50s and above. So they kind of break that rule. And I don't know if that's more of a rule for entertainment purposes or not, but it's just something to think about. I mean, if you go around absorbing other people's patterns because you admire them or because it was family, and you can start to think like them, it shapes your beliefs and values, but it impacts your behavior too. Um, Social conditioning influences how we act, how we make decisions in our life, and how we interact with the world, basically. It makes me wonder if some of our leaders today wonder what their childhoods were like and how things were done in their households. There's also the cultural part of it. Um, I mean, there are different. There are obvious differences. I work with Black people. I work with Hispanic, Latino people. I've worked with Asian people. I mean, when I worked at the Cleveland Clinic, I mean, the whole world works there. Basically, you could find somebody from every continent there working, which is really interesting because you could find out a lot about other cultures. But that shapes how you are, how you walk through life too. I was just talking to my girlfriend yesterday, and I was talking about something that was going on between two Black women, and I was kind of taken aback, and not that I haven't heard this before, but they were having an argument, and one of them said something to the effect, about being two Black women and how they're going to resolve this argument. And I said to my girlfriend, white people don't go, well, we're two white women and this is how we're going to resolve it. It's just differences in how things are handled and said, and it's very interesting. I've never heard Asian women argue like that. Not that they don't argue, but definitely in the workplace or anything, I've never seen that. All the Asian women that I've ever known, they find other ways to deal with conflict, and it's typically not yelling, especially in a business sense. In the families, it might be different, but from what I know of Chinese and Koreans and stuff, you don't talk back to your elders. There's none of that going on, where in America it's different. And you even think about where you live in the world even dictates how your society shapes you. I mean, we all tend to conform, and I don't know if you had a rebellious streak when you were a teenager. I went punk. I had spiked black hair, I had dangly earrings, I wore all rings on my fingers, and I dressed a certain way, certain types of clothes. I was just like, why am I conforming all this? This is not who I am. And I decided to break away from that. I mean, I was still conforming in a way, but I was expressing myself, and I was thinking about the way people act, and especially those that believed in God and the Ten Commandments and all that, but they were not acting the way they it wasn't going it was going against their religion with how they were acting and stuff. There were adults that actually would say mean things to me, and it wasn't constructive criticism at all, believe me. I felt bullied in church, actually, by everybody there except for, well, there was one preacher that was fine. The other one was quite snobby, is how I would put it. But when you conform and let society condition you, that limits how you think and see the world. that limits your perspective on things if you're not critically thinking about stuff. You end up with all kinds of biases, whether they're conscious or subconscious. Gender roles, male versus women. I worked in IT for a very long time. Even though we had come a long way in IT, I was still like the only female on my team. I was the only female lead systems administrator on the main campus of the Cleveland Clinic. Actually, in the whole system, I was the only female systems administrator, 3 at the time that I worked there. There had been, I believe, previous ones. But it was just like one of us at a time, we couldn't have multiple females leading for whatever reason. And I'm not sure why I got picked. I mean, I was very good at my job. I wasn't like the best tech on the world compared to, there were some other male colleagues of mine that were really, really excellent. I was really good at customer service, so that helped me, and I had a lot of years of experience before I worked at the clinic, so that gave me an advantage to becoming a lead, but there were still some societal things there, and things to prop up certain peer groups. Let's see, I'm looking at notes here. Now, with all the social conditioning, and you're thinking, well, how do I break free from that? I've been, this way all my life. What I would say is to start thinking about things and not just allowing society to dictate, or your family. If you feel a certain way about something, and I can almost bet that at least there's one thing in your life you're like, why do I do this? And you're thinking, like, how did I get this way? And it's most likely going to be from family. So just like pick one thing and like, well, what do I really think about this? It's all about engaging in your critical thinking skills. And unfortunately, these days, there's not a whole lot of that being taught, of thinking critical about things. Laying everything out, pros and cons, getting, the full story on what's going on, and multiple perspectives on it. That's how you start breaking that stuff down. And you need to expose yourself to other perspectives, other cultures, how they do things. The world is a very interesting place when you really start looking for stuff other than your own microcosm. Even just like volunteering someplace that's out of your comfort zone, you can learn a lot of things. And I'm not even saying like in race perspective, even like go help at a mental health place, or go help with animals, just anything to learn and observe and gather some perspective on what you're doing. And the other thing you do is think about how you express yourself. Are you being authentic? Are you being genuine? Are you walking through life as an authentic person? Are you walking through life as your family and not being an individual? And that was my thing, as I decided to be an individual. I was trying to fit in so badly with other people when I was in school, and it just didn't work. I wasn't authentic. So it was like almost a repellent to people. And then once I started to just do what I wanted to do, wear what I wanted to wear, have my hair how I wanted to have it, think for myself, think about how other people's behaviors were. I grew up observing people for very many years, and that was because of my background. And it just opens a whole new world to you, like all the possibilities. I mean, and you don't have to stick with stuff. It's like you could try, like, hey, I'm going to try this for a while and see how that feels. You know, you don't have to stick with it. You could change and try something else. But it's important to be authentic, because otherwise you're living a lie. And do you really want to live a lie? And do you want to really, if you have children, do you want your children to live a lie? I think it's important to really think about that, and how society dictates what you do every day. You know? You have this one life. I mean, I believe in reincarnation, but you have this right now. You have this life. You're in this body. You're living this experience. So why not live it to the best, the fullest you can live it, the most authentic, and that will help in your self-care, because that will alleviate some stress. I mean, it'll be stressful because you're kind of like programmed, so you have to reprogram yourself. But in the end, you're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna have the weight of your shoulders lifted off, just by being authentic and being who you really are, and not let society dictate to who that person is, because we all have unique, abilities and ways of looking at things, if we just open ourselves up to it and not just live by some societal script or conditioning. So that's kind of like my skinny on that. All the other thing, media influences, how the media influences, whether it's social media or the news. Do your research, which is really hard to do. Especially when we're talking about political stuff, it's hard to find like real, true facts. You want to look at facts. Facts are very important. Facts are facts. Facts are not opinions. Facts are not something somebody fabricated. I like the word fabricated because, when we follow social conditioning, we're basically fabricating our lives. So be you. I encourage you to be you. It's going to help with your overall health, your stress, if you have anxiety, possibly your depression. You do you. As long as you're not harming people, you do you. I don't care if you got body modifications, although that's really a whole nother subject where it's you don't I mean, it's a way of expressing yourself, but some of the extreme cases that I've seen, I really believe that there's something else going on there psychologically. But that's a topic for another day. So let's get a card for the week, and let's see what the guidance is from Spirit this week. And boy, my hair looks really red in this particular light. My cat kind of opened the shades over there, so it's like, did my light burn out over here? But no, it's still on. Probably, if anybody's paying attention to my t-shirt, it's the Grim Reaper and he loves cats. I thought it was a funny t-shirt, something a little different to wear, kind of a conversation starter. I actually wore it to my therapist and he didn't even pay attention to it, because I was like, oh yeah, I was talking at work before I left, just like about, oh, my therapist is gonna think I'm really strange with this t-shirt. He goes, I didn't even notice it, but it's funny. I was trying to start a conversation. trying to inject some humor. I had cards fall out, but it was way too many. Okay. What is the mantra or the affirmation card of the week? And one doesn't want to seem to come out. Last week we had an abundance card. All right. I had one come towards me. So this is the card. We have acknowledging apprehension. That's different. And you might be apprehensive about what I talked about, going against society, thinking for yourself. But we all should be doing that. That's what makes us better. That's what makes us evolve. That's what makes us more enlightened. We break out of our box and we live authentically. And it raises your vibration, you know. So acknowledging apprehension. When it's a yes, nothing can stop me. When I'm unsure, it's always a no. When it's a yes, nothing can stop me. When I'm unsure, it's always a no. Let's see what the book says. When apprehension is acknowledged, you become aware of a constant back and forth between polarities. As this back and forth movement occurs, it can feel nearly impossible to make decisive, empowering choices. As you acknowledge any apprehension, recognize that either it is your heart trying to warn you of an old choice or pattern you're about to repeat, or it is a sense of unworthiness that makes you unsure about how to step onto the biggest stage you dream of commanding. The power of discernment bubbles closer to the surface the more often your apprehensions are acknowledged, and it is needed to determine which of these two options is true. This mantra is ideal for resolving indecisiveness, balancing impulsive behaviors, and trusting your instincts. Good card. It'll help you critical think about stuff if you stop and think when you have big decisions, you know, how do you really feel about it? Are you apprehensive? Is it a go? If you're apprehensive, is it a no? Critically think about things. Yeah. So now on to the guided meditation. So hopefully you've cleared your space with the white sheet method, or burned some sage, laid some crystals out for an hour or so. Cleaned it. I mean, you can use cleaning as a way to clean out, you know, sweep out the low hanging fruit. Sorry, I'm always tired when I do these for some reason. Maybe because I'm not used to talking so much. So I don't do a whole lot of talking at work. So sit upright in your chair, both feet flat on the floor, no crossing over your limbs. We want the energies to flow through you. If you've seen my chakra balancing meditation, I'm going to do a little more of that with what's called the seed sounds. Each chakra has a seed sound. It's a word. I gotta bring them up because I don't remember them by heart anymore. Because It's been a while. So let's do this and get grounded. Shake it out. Hands on your thighs to ground. Think about roots coming out of the bottom of your feet and going into the earth. Down through all the layers of sand and dirt or clay, stone, all the different layers of the earth till you get to the core. Just visualize it. Those roots making their way down through. And when you get to the core of the earth, Mother Earth, just feel the loving energy she has for you. And we ask Mother Earth to share that beautiful unconditional love with us so we can bring it back up to our body, to the base of our spine, where our root chakra sits. And the key aspects of your root chakra are your security. This is where you ground into the earth. This is where your survival is. Your physical foundation. Signs of imbalance are anxiety and fear and insecurities. So the seed sound for your root chakra is Lam. Lam. You can go ahead and connect to your root chakra and that beautiful red disc or wheel that should be spinning clockwise. So you can just repeat Lam, Lam, or you can sing it if you're a chanter. Lam, Lam, Lam. Take a couple deep breaths in and out. And we move up to the sacral chakra. While your root chakra is, the element is earth, your sacral chakra is the element of water. And this is where your creativity is, your sexuality, your emotions, where you feel your pleasure center. If you're imbalanced, you might be creatively blocked. You may be emotionally numb. Things that help opening that is being creative, singing, dancing, doing yoga, tai chi, qigong, everything of that nature. Your sacral chakra is a beautiful orange color. It's in your lower abdomen, a few inches up from your root, but beneath your belly button. And the seed sound for your sacral chakra is VAM, V-A-M. So you can repeat that out loud or to yourself, or you can chant it. VAM, VAM. couple deep breaths. It should be a brilliant orange. It should be spinning clockwise. You may feel something as your chakras, if they were imbalanced, you might feel a shift in them. And usually the lower three ones are the ones that are really imbalanced, especially if you don't practice grounding techniques. And we're going to move up to the solar plexus, which is a beautiful yellow color like the sun. And this is, the solar plexus is like if you feel like a gut punch or like when you're sick, that knot in your stomach, that's actually where the solar plexus is. And it's the element of fire, like the sun. And the key aspects of the solar plexus is this is where your personal power is. This is where you show the world who you are by your confidence, by your willpower, your self-esteem. Imbalances, of course, if your self-esteem is low and you start controlling things, these are signs that your solar plexus needs help. You can balance it by doing these meditations. You could do core strength exercises, confidence building practices, your self-care. And the seed sound for the solar plexus chakra is Ram, like ram, like the animal, R-A-M. Ram, 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 Ram. I felt a little high. Ram, deep breaths. That's interesting. I whistled. Sorry. Now we get to the heart chakra, and we all know where the heart chakra is, and that's the element of air. This is where your unconditional love sits, your compassion, your forgiveness, your connection. It connects the lower and the upper chakras. This is where we bring the energy of heaven and earth together. And I'm sure if it's unbalanced, your relationships might be difficult at this time. You might have the emotions of jealousy and possessiveness and being really uncomfortable in the world. Things you can do to balance besides this guided meditation is heart opening exercises, like gratitude, being mindful. There's yoga poses for it. Practicing self-love and love for the world. And its seed sound is yam, Y-A-M, like the yams, as we say here in America. Yams, yam, yam. And your heart chakra is a beautiful green color. Yam, yam, yam. If you want to put your hand on your heart to help with your intention to open your heart chakra, yam, 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 yam. Just intend for it to be this brilliant green, and it's going clockwise, and it's opening up, and it's releasing all the negative stuff. Yam, yam, yam. And I'm doing some sound energy healing with you too, and there's different pitches for it. But don't worry, we're just concerned about the seed sound right now. Now we're going to go up to our throat chakra, which is right here. And the element is space. That's interesting. And the key aspects are it is authentic expression, speaking your truth, communications, creativity. If you have fear of speaking up or you have throat problems, you get sick a lot in this area, that could be the sign of imbalance. If you feel like you can't speak up in relationships, that's definitely your throat chakra is blocked, and there's a problem with whoever you have that issue with. So to balance it out, again, this guided meditation, you can chant, you could sing, speak your truth, be authentic. That'll help clear that up. And if you feel like people aren't listening to you, and this happens a lot, I've seen this in a lot of romantic relationships where the partners don't hear each other, and you need to figure out a way to resolve that. And if you can't, then it may be time to move on. But the seed sound for your throat chakra is ham, as in the meat, H-A-M. Ham. 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 Your throat chakra is a beautiful blue color. It should be rotating clockwise. And we move to the third eye, which is slightly like where your eyebrows would meet if you had a unibrow, up a little bit. This is your third chakra area, and this is where your intuition, your wisdom, your spiritual insight, this is where you get your clarity. If you're having problems with your intuition, or you're confused, you can't make decisions, this is where you might have a problem with your third eye. And it's a beautiful violet color. And this is where, if you've ever seen anything like Om, this is the seed sound for the third eye. And you would normally speak it out loud. And it's the element of light. This is where the light comes into you, between that and your crown chakra. So it's Om. And I think it needs to be a little higher than that. Om. 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 Take a couple deep breaths. I feel like yawning. I must be clearing out some things. It's okay if you yawn. If you gotta move a little bit, clearing out some stuff. And now we go to your crown chakra, which is the top of your head, this area. And you might be able to kind of see mine on the screen. And this is where you use Om again, but you do it silently as you connect up to the heavens, to the divine, to source, Christ light, whatever term works for you. And this is all about your spiritual connection, your divine wisdom, your enlightenment, connecting with the universal consciousness. If you don't feel spiritual, you feel disconnected, you might be blocked here. You could be very cynical and pessimistic if this is blocked, and just kind of down on things in general. What helps with this, besides, meditation, is prayer. Visualizing your crown chakra opening up. So now we're going to do a silent Om. And do a silent Om internally. Visualize this chakra on top of your head as a beautiful indigo color, maybe with some bright light around it, and just allow yourself to connect up into the heavens, to the Christ light, to the universe, to source. You could connect up to your personal star if you've done any of my other. Let the light shine down on you. Take a couple deep breaths. Now I just want you to feel into your body, kind of scan it, go through each chakra and feel the earth energy connecting up all through your chakras, up into the heavens. Just a column of light that connects all of them together. And move that light from the earth up through your spine, hitting all the chakras, up to your star. And now bring that back down, that beautiful column of light, back down to the earth. Now visualize the energies from heaven and earth coming together, like you have a hose connected to your feet and to your head, and let that light commingle into your heart. And feel all that unconditional love in your entire body, not just your chakras. Let it expand into your whole body, into your aura, into the room that you're in, and just feel that. Feel that love. Feel the gratitude from God, source, divine. Gratitude that you're taking care of yourself, you're doing your self-care practice. But also have gratitude for the energy that heaven and earth is providing to you to help you with your self-care, to help you balance out your life. And think about other things you're grateful for. Your siblings, your kids, your fur babies, your job, your roof over your head, your morning coffee, your morning tea, the food that you eat. And I'm just going to let you sit there and just continue to feel it Thank you for joining me. I'm Crystal from the Crystal Center of Healing. Please like and subscribe. Donate if you wish through PayPal, the Crystal Center of Healing. Think about the mantra card, acknowledging apprehension, and I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Namaste.